Hi everyone, my name is Junyi. I'm a graduate student in architecture from Washington University in St. Louis in the United States. And the paper I will be presenting today is titled Transformable Architecture: An Alternative for Human Communication in a Post-Pandemic World. So first, I will give you a simplified introduction and talk about the potential and the future of transformable architecture, and talk more about the benefit and the challenge we need to think about for the transformable architecture. And finally, talk more about the useful of transformable architecture, improving communication between human beings. And the final is my conclusion. So first, we all know that the past 3 years is the pandemic area, it creates so many social effects in the world, in the people's daily life, like the people's mental health. People will feel anxious and feel lonely easily. In the past 3 years, they don't want to have more communication with others, or it also creates the rapid growth in housing pricing. I mean, the people's income is not better than before, but they still so the most of the young people have to choose the smaller house. And in the technological part, I want to say stimulate the network technology development. Like the students can use the Zoom meeting during the past 3 years if they want to continue have the education. This is a good news, but how do we face to this situation is most the architecture need to think about is in the future. So for me, I will think about the transformer architecture. It's a good technology to creating more communication space in both public and private space. Therefore, it can realize the value of solving society problem and in the post-epidemic area by providing more opportunity for people to have face-to-face communication. I mean, I will introduce the potential and the features and benefits and the challenges of the transformable architecture and tell you how to use it later. So first, I will simplify to introduce the potential and future of the transformable architecture. We need to define it at first, I think. So the transformable architecture, for me, known as adaptive or responsive architecture, refer to design a building or structure elements that can easily transform and adapt to changing circumstances, functions, or needs over time. So the key for the transformable architecture is to create flexible space that can be reconfigured without extend renovation and demotions. So the first feature is the module design, and it creates a user-centered design. I mean, we all know the module architecture. It can be easily assembled and disassembled and rearrangement. So this which means the transformable architecture can adapt to changing needs and special requirements, whether it be addition of new room or expansion of existing space. And the second feature is spatial optimized and community interaction. I mean, like for the example, they have the pavilion. It can be divided into many smaller pieces, so can be used for the different people. But it also can combine as a whole bigger pavilion, can be used by the whole community. Like this picture shows that there can have the theater here and. So it optimizes the space function in the for the single building. And the third is about the flexible and the sustainability, because I have said the transformable architecture, it can adjust and subdivide area, right, to accommodate various functions and activities. So the adaptability is achieved through mobile furniture, mobile panel, and retractable walls. And which means it also strongly emphasizes sustainability, because it can provide more function and provide more choice for people to use the same single space, right? So people will use the space longer, and it achieve the achieve the sustainability goal in the space. And the fourth is the key point. I think the key feature for the transformable architecture is transferability. Like for its first example is the Stephen Hall's hinge space. He used the transformable architecture in the private space. So the space are designed to expanding during the day, allowing a larger living room, and retract during the night, creating more private and intimate space nearing the bedroom. And how did it used in the public space? There have another example. It named the shade. You can see there have a movable shell wrapped around the whole center, culture center. So the dynamic shade blurs the boundary between inside and outside, so provide more function for the people to choose how to use the whole culture center. And so based on these two examples, I want to say I think the transformable architecture brings a new way of thinking about the building. This is a key point for the architecture if they want to use this strategy. And the last point is about the adaptability. I think I have mentioned before to try to explain why it can provide the multiple uses and why this is a good future for the transformable architecture. The third part is give a little analyze about the benefits and the challenges architect need to think about for the transformable architecture. The first, at least three advantages for the transformable architecture. The first is a flexible space, and the second is accommodate environmental demands, and the third is achieve the technical integration. But I also want to mention more about the challenge the architect need to think about is about for the transformable architecture. The first is it creates additional costs because it involves additional cost and complexity in design in the construction compared to the traditional structure. So people need to balance the benefit and associate investment in the transformable architecture. And also the ADA design is difficult for the architect to think about use the transformable architecture because we all know like the movable panel is easy for normal people to push or pull, but it's not easy for the disabled people. So how to let them to use the transformable architecture is another big challenge for the architect need to think about. And the third is response to the environment. We all know that some transformable architecture as the example I mentioned before, the shade, it has a fantastic facade, right? But if you design a fantastic facade of the building, but the building located in a historical block, this is so weird, right? So how to solve this problem is another challenge the architect need to think about. I want to say more about the use of transformable architecture on improving communication between human beings. The first is when the communication happened interior of the building. I think the transformable architecture can provide an open layout and a flexible seating arrangement and a common area that encourage interaction and collaboration for people. So which also means in transformable architecture support collaborative activities by easily adapting space to accommodate different group size and interaction styles. And also, it can provide the multiple functional space creation by adapting different needs and different activities. The transformable architecture can facilitate the effective communication in different contexts. For me, I want to give an example in my degree project, international student housing. You can say I try to achieve it or use it in my design. They have a 3 units and they have a public living room between the two different private bedroom here. So it can the public living room when the movable panel move so the student can use the public living room here together, or we can close one of it, can extend one's unit to the public living room, or we can close both of them, just open the more panel on the corridor to let other people can enjoy the public living room here. This is what I think about how to achieve the transformable architecture in the future. But let's go to the exterior of the building boundary. I think transformable architecture is also a good strategy to help architecture to think about how to solve the boundary between inside and outside. So in this case, you can say when there have two panel between inside and outside. When we close it, it have a inside theater here and outside open area cinema, right? But when we open it together, we can create a continuous space between inside and outside. So which means it also provide an opportunity for people have the communication between inside and outside. And also, the architecture needed to think about how to solve the technical problem. Like if you want to rotate your balcony outside, you need to work with the engineer to calculate how many area you will leave, like leave here, how many area you will leave, like here gap, to let the whole balcony can rotate, can work. So based on all the presentation, my conclusion is that I think the transformable architecture, it's improving the communication between individuals and optimize energy efficiency indoor comfortable and promote inclusive and social interaction and finally reduce energy consumption. Last but not least, I want to say the transformable architecture offer potential to shift space that facilitate effective communication, empower the community, and address involved social needs by continued exploring and employing innovative design approaches. And also get the user feedback or achieve the technological advancement. So he bring too many benefits to the environment and so many meaningful for the architecture to think about the boundary between inside and outside, and finally foster meaningful and inclusive communication experience can be created for all. Yes, this is all my presentation. Thank you.